Hi, in this video I wanted to break down what it's really like selling a business. So for any of us in business, you're normally looking at one of the following exit routes. You're either looking to run your business forever, hand it down to your kids, or just close up shop when you want to retire, once you've made enough money. You might have taken investment and it's out of your control a little bit, but you're looking to either merge with someone else or go down to an IPO potentially, and that's kind of your exit. You sell your shares gradually to the market. Or you're looking to sell your business to either a competitor, a partner, private equity firm, whatever it might be. You're looking for a business that will buy you and give you a good amount of money as upfront as possible. We'll come on to that. And that's kind of, for a lot of people, the dream, because you go, okay, well, my business turns over, let's go easy numbers for the sake of easy math. My business turns over $2 million a year, I make 50% profit, so I make $1 million a year, and therefore, based on a certain multiple between 3x and 20x, depending on how much of a tech business, etc. you are, that's how much money you'll make, and you'll make it up front, and you can go again and do something else, and that's the dream, right? I've been through that experience a couple of times now, and just wanted to break down a couple of the things that happen, a couple of things to look out for, and just go through my experience a little bit, really, because it's tough. So I sold my first business in the UK in 2017. Me and my co-founder, ran a digital marketing agency. We sold it to a private equity firm, and their plan was to create a group of agencies. We were going to be the digital marketing portion. They were going to also buy a web agency, a video agency, etc. And their plan was that the business would be profitable because you'd lose a lot of the back end and the costs in terms of IT and HR and CRM and all those things across those agencies by bringing it all together. And you also have a bunch of cross-sell and upsell opportunities amongst the whole client base, which give a better offer, stickier offering, and just be a healthier group of agencies, which, on paper makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, that deal, did go through, and it was good at the time, but within a year, the agency network idea hadn't come to fruition for whatever reason. Therefore, the business model was out of whack, and the agency died, which was really sad. So let's go through a few steps. One, finding a buyer. That was interesting. We didn't start actively looking for a buyer. Buyers started coming to us, which is obviously a great position to be in from a negotiation point of view, from an ego point of view, like people, you're in demand, which is always great. But first we spoke to a big publishing group near London who potentially wanted to buy us and make us their in-house kind of SEO and digital marketing offering for all their clients. That was really interesting, but it would have involved us being involved in that business probably for less money as well for quite a long time, which was less appealing. And then the private equity guys got involved from this group. They offered us a deal where we'd be leaving faster, which was appealing at the time to both of us. I think we wanted to do other things. So we went down that route. I think the deal in total, from meeting them the first time to actually signing over the shares, getting the money, probably took about 8 months. Most of that was dealing with legal issues. I remember our contract for sale was like this big, which obviously racked up a lot of legal fees, which is one thing to bear in mind. It costs a lot to sell a business. And it's not just the cost of the professional services, although that is high. You need to get audited, you need to help them with the due diligence, you need to go through the whole legal paperwork, which in the UK involves a lot of things around warranties, where it's basically you disclose everything you can. If you haven't disclosed it and then it's found out that something is wrong, then potentially they can come back to you for some of the money and like reclawing that and things like that. So getting all that right is really important. But the main cost to really factor in is your time. Like, we couldn't focus on doing anything, delivering projects, winning new work. It was like all-encompassing selling the agency. And bear in mind as well, at that point, we were quite a small team. I think we were about 12 people maybe. So because we didn't know if it would definitely go through or not, we didn't know what was going to happen, we didn't want to scare the staff, especially like 8 months out from maybe going through. So they didn't know, so they just thought we were distracted and whatever, I think. So that was tough too. It's a real tough balance doing that, I would say. So that was kind of the legal process. It was tough. One thing to really think about as well, as I just touched on slightly there, is the impact on your team. So if you can be transparent with them, you've got a team you can trust and they're not all going to run away, then amazing. We had quite a young team. We didn't think that they were ready to know, but we told them beforehand, but not too far beforehand, that if everyone leaves and there's no one doing the work, then the agency's suddenly not worth any money in that kind of business. If you're in a tech business or something, it might be totally different. But in our situation, that's what we felt we had to do at the time. But if you can be transparent with them, that's obviously going to be better. When the day came when things actually changed and we left, then there was obviously a big impact on them. They felt the hole that we left, I think. But also the culture of the place just changed from everything I hear and see. I think I've heard that quite a lot as well. One thing to be aware of, which is a mistake I made, and I've spoken to tons of founders who have made the same mistake, and also I see it like advertised a lot to do this, in terms of the buyers wanted to buy a chunk of the business at least with by financing against our equity effectively. So they pay us a lump up front and they wanted to pay the rest in installments effectively. Basically an interest-free loan from us to help them buy our business, which we did part of the deal like that. And I know lots of people have done part of the deals like that. And I don't know anyone who's got the whole money. That's what I would say. So if you're going to go that route, you want to be very confident in the buyer's ability to pay if the business has a downturn, because the business is effectively paying it at that point. You want to make sure the business can handle the cash flow increase in paying off your equity as well as everything else it has to pay. And you want to be negotiating that if you are doing that, that is as small a part of the deal as possible, because that is where it gets very complicated when things go wrong down the line, as many people have found. There's lots of experts out there encouraging people to go to boomer businesses who want to retire and buy it this way without paying any cash down and all that sort of stuff, and it seems to be a big trend at the minute, and it's just something to be very cautious of from both sides. I've not seen it work well. I have seen it work well, but I've not seen it work well very many times at all, particularly when you're on the selling side. So that's something to bear in mind as well. And I think don't underestimate the amount of time post-sale that you'll need to spend, because even though you've done all the due diligence, you've done all the work up front, there's tons of little things in every business that only the founders know, only the owners know, and you're going to have to spend a lot of time with the buyer, with the team, explaining all sorts of different things, and it might even things that are historical. I remember we completed the deal, and then tax season was coming up, and then we had to obviously help them with that because it was the taxes from when we'd run the business, so there was questions that we needed to answer to help them do that properly. But then there was a debate because the contract was a bit vague, in some people's opinion, in terms of who should pay that tax, and things like that. So there's all sorts of little details like that to iron out. But you spend a lot of time with the buyer, so make sure you get on with them, make sure you can have a relationship with them. And a deal where you're going to walk away too quickly is probably a bit of a red flag. Obviously you want to move on with your life. You're selling it for a reason. You either want to retire, you want to do something else, you've fallen out of love with it, whatever it might be. But you are going to have to spend 6 months, 18 months, whatever it might be, at least in some capacity. It might be full-time, might be, part-time consulting or whatever with them, just to get things healthy. In our case, it was used for training staff, speaking to a couple of clients just to kind of shore things up, make sure they were, understood what was going on. But really the whole thing was a little bit rushed. We were kind of rushed out a little bit, which scared some clients and didn't help. So that's something to bear in mind as well, is that it's obviously you want to get out, but don't be in a rush, because you want your, the thing that you've created to sustain. So that'd be another good tip that I would give. So yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. I'm not going to touch on the tax implications, because that works differently everywhere. In the UK, you pay a lot of tax when you sell a business, unfortunately, and that's only going to increase as things go forward by the looks of it, because the threshold you claim tax-free on capital gains is decreasing, which is a shame for entrepreneurs. So there's a lot of things to think about, but I just wanted to give a high-level view on, here's some tips of things around what happens, what you need to think about in terms of your time, your team, your effort, what you need to think about as part of the deal. Obviously, a lot of deals factor an earn-out on performance of the agency going forward and things like that, which is something to bear in mind as well, in terms of your confidence in that, particularly as things change in the world. And then post-sale in terms of, not rushing out, making sure that you help keep things healthy, because it's in everyone's best interest. It was, we lost a little bit of money when financially the business didn't work out after we weren't there. But the main thing was, the blow of seeing something you'd spent 4 years of your life creating just disappear, and that was really sad. So I think that's something to bear in mind as well as you go through this process. Make sure you're comfortable with that, but then make sure you do everything you can to make sure that also doesn't happen and the business is as healthy as possible. So that is a quick fire roundup of things to think about when you potentially sell a business. It's where we all want to get to. It is a great thing. It's very exciting. You get a big chunk of money in your bank account, and that is awesome. And I'm not by any means saying don't do that. Don't aim for that, because I wouldn't be where I was if I didn't do that. But I'm just saying there are some pitfalls with it. There are some things to think about. So if you ever want to chat about that or the revenue in your business, then reach out in the comments or send me a DM on LinkedIn, and we can chat about my experience a little more and how you can potentially increase your profit using AI, using some of the techniques that I've built upon in the last couple of years. Because the more profitable you are, the higher your multiplier is going to be, and therefore, the more money you're going to walk away with at the end of the day, and the easier your sale process will be because your business is as automated as possible. So reach out, we'll chat.